I'm late again, and the reason I'm late actually is very serious because um, I've recorded Matot Masei, the this week portion, already last week, was ready, and then last minute I didn't like what I said. So this is the second version, and I'm recording now after Shabbat, which ended actually a few hours ago. So this week we're learning Parsha Matot Masei. Translation: Matot is tribes and Masei journeys. It's a double portion. In the first part, Matot, we learn about Moses conveying the laws governing the annulment of vows to the heads of the tribes of Israel. And it's a very important aspect which we will discuss in a few minutes. War is waged against Midian for their role in plotting the moral destruction of Israel, of the tribes of Israel. And Torah gives a detailed account of the all spoils of the war. So, and how they were allocated, all the wealth which they picked up from the Midianites, etc., and the slaves and everything. So all of this was allocated, Torah describes how all of this was allocated amongst people, the warriors, the Levites, and the Kohanim. The tribes of Reuben and Gad, later joined by half of the tribe of Menashe, ask Moshe that they want the lands east of the Jordan River, which already they were there, the east bank of Jordan River, as their portion of the promised land. Since this is being a prime pasture land for their cattle, and initially Moshe was very angered by this request, because he was thinking that they simply want to stay here and they don't want to participate in conquering the land of Israel. Where subsequently he actually agreed on the condition that they first join and lead the Israelites in their conquest of the lands west of Jordan River. And they made that commitment, and they held that commitment for 14 years. It took 14 years to conquer all the lands. So it was a promise, a commitment to be honored. And this is one of the reasons why this is covered in this portion as well. We will come to that in a few minutes. In the second part of Masei, we learn about the 42 journeys and encampments of Israelites, which were listed starting from Exodus and finishing with the encampment in the plains of Moab, which is across from the land of Canaan. So they were on the eastern bank of Jordan River. The boundaries of the promised land were determined by God. They were clearly given. And the cities of refuge are designated as heavens and places of exile for people who committed unintended murder, so that they can safely live in there and the relatives will not kill them. The daughters of Zelophehad marry within their own tribe of Menashe, so that the estate which they now inherited instead of their father who passed away will remain within the domain, within the province of the tribe of Menashe, not any other tribe. And that's the content of this double portion. Last year we did discuss the aspect of the 42 journeys and the fact that they are the journeys and pit stops of every Jew, as a matter of fact, in his life of self-development. That's the spiritual aspect of those 42 journeys of the Israelites. This year, I would like to ask a question. Why in this portion, which is about tribes and journeys, it starts, which is very important. It means it's important. Why? It starts from the laws of vows, and they appear here in this portion from the very beginning, as I said. Trying to unravel the mystery, I have researched a little bit the meaning of the word vow. Vow means a promise, a guarantee. You give someone a word. You are sure, you swear that you will do whatever you promised. Pledge a commitment to be fulfilled. That's what a vow is. Like the tribes of Gad and Reuben and half of Menashe promised that they will participate in conquering the land. And they fulfilled that promise. That was a vow. So in one word, it means in order to keep a vow, one must have integrity to fulfill what he or she has promised. In other words, the person has honesty and integrity. Very famous management guru Stephen Covey, who written the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says the following: integrity includes but goes beyond honesty. Honesty is conforming our words to reality. Integrity is conforming reality to our words. In other words, keeping promises and fulfilling expectations. This requires an integrated character, a oneness primarily with self, but also with life around you in general. What we learn in this portion is the fact that just before the Jews crossed the Jordan River into the land of Israel, they must understand the importance of vows. And this is why the vows are in this portion. And words we say on all levels, the importance of all of this, between people and God, and vows between people and people. For Judaism, truth, emet, is more than just a virtue. It is one of the three fundamental principles, along with justice and peace, upon which the whole world stands. Our moral, spiritual, and fundamental understanding of what is right and wrong stands on those three pillars. In the words of Talmud, the signature of the Holy One, blessed be He, is truth. Integrity is even more than the truth. It's the ability not only to say what you mean, but to mean what you say. It is more than the ability to make things happen. It's making your own promises happen. This week, double Torah portion Matot Masei opens with a lengthy and intricate discussion of the concept of the vow. Biblical teachings insist that the words we express must be taken very, very seriously. Indeed, we are taught that our words are sacred. Once a person, man or a woman, a young child or an adult, or an old person, a simpleton or a scholar, utters a commitment, he or she is duty-bound to honor the commitment. In Hebrew it sounds like this: Motza sefatecha tishmor ve'esita. That which your lips express must be honored and performed. That is why the laws of vows, unlike all the other laws of Torah, are explicitly given to Rashei Hamatot, to the chieftains of the tribes. Not just people generally statement, but they're given to the chieftains so that the importance of it is underlined. It is to emphasize that the sanctity of speech is not just a goal for the few spiritually gifted individuals. No. It must be integrated into the society as one of the essential foundations of the entire tribe, or in our case, overall, entire civilization. In this day and age, when there is so much confusion, actually, as to whether or not there is even such thing as truth anymore. I remember the time when in the Western world, majority of people believed what they heard on the radio, or saw in the news on TV, or read in the newspapers or magazines. In the USSR, we never trusted the media, since the real world reality of empty shelves in the shops and long queues for everything contradicted what we saw on TV, heard on the radio, or read in the newspapers and magazines. Today, in our age of social media, in addition to the above conventional media, we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., courtesy of the internet. However, the concept of truth, unfortunately, has deteriorated even below the terrible level of USSR communist lies. We all, meaning our entire civilization, even developed a special terminology like fake news. News, fake news. It's an oxymoron. How a news can be fake, or how something fake can be news. Today, no one can be sure that what he or she watches on TV, or listens on the radio, or reads on the internet on Facebook, or Twitter, etc., are truthful reflection of the reality, or facts, or maybe it's some journalist's opinion portrayed as a fact. Or sometimes it's even worse, it's simply artificially created lie. Like attributing certain speeches to some famous people like prime ministers and presidents, which those people never said it. So humanity mass media is no longer really following the virtues and laws of vows, promises, guarantees, commitments to be fulfilled, which can be summed up as a journalistic and general public integrity. No wonder the spiritual world is not happy with us and sending us earthquakes, volcanoes, eruptions, mudslides, and on top of that, COVID-19. Vows, commitments, integrity are the foundations on which all our civilization is actually built. They must be treated with respect and commitment to the laws of vows. Judaism teaches us that to be released from our vows or commitments, one must follow strict rules. Most well known among the ceremonies releasing us from our personal vows and promises is the Kol Nidre prayer, which is we say nearly at the very beginning of our most saintly, most hallowed day, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. Not really a prayer in an ordinary sense. Kol Nidre is yet another lesson about keeping our word as taught in the opening verses of this Torah portion. During the entire year, you and I and everybody else make many commitments and resolutions. With the noblest of motives, we promise things to our loved ones, verbally establish objectives to improve the world or around us, or simply vow to lose weight, like I do sometimes, and stop smoking or start exercising more, etc. As the year wears on, situations change, priorities shift, and we ourselves become different. We change all the time. At least one time each year on Yom Kippur, we realize how unrealistic we were and that we erred in our assessment of what we could accomplish. And so we ask the Almighty to release us from these impossible and often no longer relevant commitments and begin with the divine help a new slate, hoping that the next time we promise something, it will be one that we will be able to keep that promise. Judaism teaches us the primary importance of keeping our word, but it does not lose sight of our human frailties and limitations. It recognizes that often it is not moral failure that explains our lack of integrity, but simply human weakness, hopefully rare and surely forgiven by God. Integrity is a cherished value for the society at large. The acknowledgement of human limitations in maintaining integrity must be accepted. These are two important and timely lessons from this week's Torah portion. They are a timely reminder that if our political leaders and moguls and in charge of our mass media, like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, etc., all of them, if they will continue on the path of the fake news, misleading information, lack of journalistic integrity, the consequences will be an ongoing deterioration of humanity as a civilization. When people lose trust in their sources of information, they become cynical, they don't trust authorities anymore. Like an example, right now people don't want to be vaccinated, they don't trust. And the rule of law deteriorates more and more. Next, what happens? Communities suffer. People get sick. And the whole fiber of the society starts falling apart. Let's hope God will help us to find the path back to the road of truth, when our vows will regain their lawful status of human dignity and integrity. Shabbat Shalom.
למען החי ורעי, למען החי ורעי, אדם בנה אתה בנה, שלום לך, למען החי למען החי ורעי, אדם